I wanted to share this custom bike build with you guys. I met up with one of my subscribers yesterday. A really nice guy, lives in my area, and he said I inspired him to kind of take this on as well. So he's actually got a car that is sitting idle, as you'll hear in the video that's coming up. And he's using his bike 100% to do all the commuting. You'll see that total parts and everything out the door end up costing him about $3,000. It's a mid-drive system. That thing is fast and it has torque. If you just hold it between your legs and hit the power, the rear wheel takes off. So it's really strong. And that's kind of the advantage when you do your own build. So I'll leave a link to this particular site, and then you can check out the bike. We'll roll the video. And remember, if you're interested in this, you can reach out to him as well, or myself. And he's got all the parts, I think, listed within here. I'll also follow up and just make sure that we get the parts list from him as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks. And I'm with one of my subscribers, and this is a bike that he built himself. And I'm going to have him describe the bike, and we're going to go through, and you're going to notice right away it has a mid-drive system. So let's go ahead. So Bob, if you want to...
Yeah. Okay, so this is a Surly Ogre. I'm kind of a big guy, so I wanted a steel frame bike. So, because you're obviously getting a little bit more, tension on the bike. So I picked up a steel frame Surly and built this. This is a Surly with a BBSHD mid-drive system. That's the drive dot right down the middle. So all your power is delivered from the mid, which means if you get a flat tire, you don't have to deal with fighting with cords and everything else. But it's also a trade-off because you're putting a little bit more wear and tear on the gears and such. So it's just one of those things that there's a trade-off for everything. The battery is from a really well-respected battery maker out of China called EM3 EV. They're pretty much like the top battery maker out there. Them, Luna. And there's
Luna. Yeah.
And Unit Power is another one. It's a triangle bag battery, 27.9 amp hours. I think the battery that came on your Rad Rover is 11.5, right. So about 2.5 times the battery size. But I need it because my commute's a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's a 52 volt system, so it's a little bit zippier than a 48 volt system, so you get a little bit more oomph. Plus the mid-drive system is running right now at 30 amps, which means it can put up to peak about 1,500 watts. Although I'm probably going to dial that down. I can program that in the computer because I want to stay street legal. And you don't necessarily need all that power. Plus, it eats up battery just like crazy. It's a non-suspension frame, so I'd have a fixed or a rigid fork, which is great because you can feel the road and the control and everything feels super stable. But you also feel the road a little bit more than you want to. But I think for a pavement commuter, it's pretty much ideal. Have the suspension seat post that is a long travel thud buster, which I absolutely love. If you're doing any kind of miles, it's just really nice to have that thing. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? Or
Yeah, and you said the Maxxis tires, you just added these?
I just added those because I had knobbies. They actually came with my wheel set as a freebie. But I just wanted something more with grip because every time I went into a corner, I started feeling a little sketchy.
And most of your miles are on asphalt?
Yeah.
Okay.
90% asphalt. I've taken it to the mountain park a couple times, and it did fine. But this thing's really built for the pavement. So.
And let's talk about the onboard computer that you've got here.
Okay. Yeah. This is not something that comes regularly normally with the motor. They usually give you a free controller or a bundled controller.
Right. And
I wanted kind of to fancy it up a little bit. This is the Luna 750C controller, which is actually great and terrible in a couple ways. It's great because I love the wide display is really nice.
Right.
On the left, it displays your speed. On the right, your wattage. I've got my odometer down here. The clock never stays correct. The battery gauge, the graphical battery gauge, is completely worthless.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I noticed it's a full.
Yeah. But the problem is it's a problem with 52 volt batteries. Most of these things are designed for 48 volt, so it's really hard to find one of these computers that will work with 52 volt.
Yeah.
But what happens is, let me turn this back on again. This is one of the few that'll work correctly with 52 volt. What matters is the number up here. That's the actual voltage in the battery. So I know what ranges the battery is at from full. At full, it's 58.8 volts.
Right.
And my low voltage cutoff is, I think, 42 or 43. so I can tell where I'm at just by looking at the number. So I don't really need to. You know, it'd be nice if I had something that had it all. You know, this controller won't actually speed limit, which I would like to do without getting into the motor.
Right.
But you know, you can't have everything sometimes. So. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, I'm gonna take it for a spin now.
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Are you gonna hold it for me there just for a second? There we go. Thank you. Okay, so I'm on the bike, and it has a thumb accelerator on the left, and we'll go ahead and. This thing goes fast. It's definitely past 20 is what it'll do. I'm not gonna do it that fast. But it rides really well. It's very quiet. I'm on the road right now though, so I'm not going to go super fast, and I'm one-handed. So we're going to go ahead and stop. And really impressive though. All right, so what was the total cost on the build?
About $3,000. Maybe add about $500 for tools and accessories and all the stuff that you need, helmet and everything. Basically, the bike was about $50. The bike itself was about $1,500. And you don't need to go with a $1,500 bike. I just wanted a really nice, solid, bike that I could rely on for years. Yeah, and Surleys are expensive, but they're really good. And then the kit, the BBSHD engine itself costs about $700, but you got to add all the shifters and the cables and everything else. So by the time you get it with the smallest battery, you're looking at $1,200 to $1,300. Okay. But I ended up going with the largest battery, and I also got what you call a Lecky chainring, because these mid-drives can be finicky with the chain line adjustment. Okay, yeah. So you want to buy a certain type of chainring so it helps with the offset, so the chain line's straight, basically, which is another $100. So basically, everything shipped from China from EM3 EV was $1,450 or something like that. And it took about 3 weeks.
And not that you have it set to the top speed, but if someone were to, what could it go? What have you seen it go
when I got it fresh from the factory without any limiters on it, in my top gear, on flat ground, I can go 33. Yeah, but I've since adjusted it down to be official and compliant with,
Absolutely.
And I actually run it about 25 to 28.
Yeah.
Luna actually just created a new product that you can program it on the fly. It's a little box, and you just hit the settings, so you can change from. They actually have something called Ludicrous Hot Rod, which will push it up to 2,500 watts. Which you don't want to ride at continuously, but it's nice to have that burst of speed. And then when you're done hot dogging it, you just download. You can just hit a button and be street legal again.
And then nobody can.
And I think that box is like $150, and that's one of the next things I'm going to get.
That is really
nice
cool.
to be able to change it up.
Yeah, exactly. Because especially if you do off-road stuff or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to be. It's just when you're on the trails.
And another thing that I find is if you have all that power, I want to be a good member of the trail and have good trail etiquette. Yeah. Which means I don't want to be blowing by people at 28 miles an hour. So I try to slow down and be careful. And if you have the speed, if you have the speed, you're going to use it. So
exactly. Especially trying to get home from work.
Yeah, exactly. So having that dialed back down, I think is a good thing.
No, it is good. It's really.
But I've been really happy with it. It was I didn't know anything about bikes a year ago. I knew nothing. I didn't know how to change the tire. Yeah. So to build this thing from the frame up was a real big journey. And I spent a year watching you and all kinds of other videos, learning how to do it. So, I think the only thing I had the bike shop do was install the headset, which is kind of tricky. You need a special tool. And they index the gears for me. Yeah. But other than that, I pretty much built it all myself. And
was the mid-drive complicated to?
Actually, it's super easy. Oh, wow. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the easiest to do, because if you buy one of the back rear engines, hubs, you have to get the wheels, trued up. Special. Okay, so honestly, there's a video out there that shows you how to do it. I probably watched that video 50 times, trying to, and so when it came time to do it, I didn't even need the video. It was so much simpler than I thought. Wow. The hardest part about installing one of these things is not so much even getting the chains lined up and everything. It's just getting all the cables routed, which isn't that big of a deal. Right. I was surprised how simple.
And then you hang the bag off there, and
and you don't have to go with a frame bag battery. You can go with a Dolphin Pack battery like yours is. There's all kinds of other batteries out there that you can use. But I wanted the big battery. Yeah. The bummer about having a frame bag, though, is there's no real way to secure it. I mean, I have a little lock on the zippers to try to keep people out of it.
Right. But I've never had anybody mess with my bike.
Yeah, I mean, all it would take was someone dedicated with a knife to cut that off. But
if they want it bad enough, they'll take it.
Exactly.
At some point, yeah.
And I did add the, I don't know if you can see, it's probably on the other side, the nuts here. These are called, they're called the Avis Nut Fix.
Okay.
And what they are is they have like a little magnet inside, so you literally cannot take these off unless you lean the bike over. So when it's locked up, people can't see my wheels.
Right.
And those are like $60 or something like that. But I mean, that's a good investment. I never have to worry about my wheels. You know, so.
That's really good. Yeah, I see it on the front.
And then I got the front rack. I actually bought a back rack too. You know, I figured.
Okay, yeah.
Urban Tattle Assault bike.
Yeah, right. You know, exactly. No.
But I found that I just didn't like the weight on the back.
Right.
You know, so I got this little bag here.
That. Yeah, it's like me. I took my fenders off too because I think you've seen my videos. I can't stand riding in the rain. It's not fun. Do you take it in the rain?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I took your cue.
Yeah,
you know?
like I'm good. I did that for like a week one time when we did have some weather, like not this year but last year, and I was done after that.
You know, the funny thing for me though is I watched you for a long time doing, and just to try to get an idea about what e-bike life would be. And the whole time I was watching you, I had no idea that you were showing me exactly my commute. When I actually finally got on a bike and started trying to figure it out, I take the same exact route, except I go all the way to the back bay.
Yeah, exactly.
So all that time I was watching it, because sometimes it's hard to tell in your videos which way, where you're going. So once I was like, damn, this guy's been showing me my commute the whole time.
That is so funny.
But you did help me, decide whether or not to take the jump, because it's a big jump.
It is a big jump. Yeah, when you even me giving up my car, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what if I need to go to the store, or what? All these things run through your head. But just with Uber, Lyft, and in general, you find you don't need that other car.
Exactly. I actually still have my car, but the idea was keep the car for 6 months, keep the bike for 6 months, and see how they overlap.
Yeah.
And what happened is, by dumb luck, I had a couple problems with the radiator about 2 weeks after this thing, and I just haven't bothered to fix it. Because the whole idea was to see if I could really do this, Yeah. And I haven't needed to fix it. I'm probably going to get rid of the car within the next couple of months. Actually.
Yeah. No, this is like all you need right
It's a lot of fun to drive. And I find that I do a lot of joyriding too. Just so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest thing for me is, I'm in the car on the bike for an hour instead of in the car for 20, 30 minutes. But when I get to work, I got a big old smile on my face. I've been out in the sun.
I know, that's the thing. It's funny you say that, because like in the morning, usually I'm good. I don't know about you, but like in the coming home part, like sometimes I'm like, oh God, like I'm done, Well,
especially for you, because your batteries fade a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
So you've got that fight now.
And exactly what happened. And so I'm having to put a lot more legwork, which is good because I do get my heart working. So that's better.
And that's one of the things. I don't know if your charger allows you to do it, but for people out there with batteries that have a little button on them, a selector. Okay. One of the cool things about battery technology is if your charger supports it, if you charge to 90% instead of 100%, you double the lifespan of your battery. Oh. So you sacrifice
mine
that 10%.
Doesn't do that.
Yours doesn't do that?
No.
So mine does that. So basically the average lifespan for these battery packs is usually like 600, 800, maybe even 1,000 cycles.
Yeah, okay.
Full cycles.
Right.
But if you go to 80, 90%, you can pretty much double that. So instead of getting a couple of years, you get 4 years out of a battery pack.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, that is really impressive.
No, thanks. Yeah, it's been a journey. The other big thing for me was, I hate paying mechanics.
Right.
And it's so hard to work on a car anymore. I've always resented the fact that I don't have the knowledge to do it. And for the most part, I know what to do on everything because I built it from the ground up. There's a few things I take to the shop because I screw up here or there, But for the most part, I know my bike, and that's nice to know if something's going wrong, something's getting weird.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it's still, even if it's $3,000 or $1,800 or whatever it happens to be, it's still not, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a car.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's a no-brainer.
For anybody that's interested, there is one company. Well, there's a couple companies, but the big company that they make pre-built bikes with this engine. You don't need to build one yourself. Luna, all of Luna bikes are built with the BBS HD, and I think their lowest price one is a little, more inexpensive KHS mountain bike that starts at like $2,000. So that's not that far off from.
Is that not the same thing as Luna Cycles?
Yeah, that's Luna Cycles.
Oh, it is Luna Cycles. Okay, it's
Cycles.
the same exact thing. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's issues with that company. They've had, they've had some drama on the boards and everything else.
Okay.
But they make good bikes, and the engine's really solid. I think between them and Juice. I think Juice makes a nice bike. They have supply issues right now, which is a little bit frustrating for them. Right. But I know you keep talking about that Muth, and I was looking at specs the other day, and it's a 36-volt system and only 250 watts. I think you might be Power Star.
I know. It looks good.
It looks cool.
I know,
You know,
but
but
you're
the
right.
Juiced is almost as low pro. You know,
Yeah,
not
I know.
quite as low
I know
pro,
that was
but-
my fear.
Yeah.
Anytime I see that, it's not that you have it, like you said, you have yours programmed down, right? Your engine. But I thought, well, you know, the wattage, maybe they found a way to engineer it or program it a certain way to where it would still work nicely. But I'm with you. I kind of feel like it's one of those where you'd be pedaling a lot more. And I don't want to do that first thing in the morning. So
I don't know if you know this, but there is a local shop that carries juice bikes. So if you actually wanted to get on one and try it, do you ever watch the electric bike review videos?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I watch those a lot.
He goes up to Sam's Electric Bike Shop in Fullerton.
Okay,
and he carries the juice line, and he's like a really friendly, nice guy. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he'd let you test
That'd
drive.
be great. I'll have to do that.
Because you are thinking about another bike at some point.
Yeah,
right?
I am. Yeah, I keep waiting for this thing to die.
But
It's a fun. This Rad Rover. It's a good bike. No issues. But you know, I get bored after a while. I mean, it saved me a ton of money, but I do want to try to change up some stuff.
No, I think they make a really nice bike.
Yeah,
actually.
they do.
I came pretty close to buying their bikes,
Yeah.
but you know, because I'm a bigger dude, I wanted the steel frame, I wanted the more torque and the more power for the hills.
Right.
And,
No, you did it.
This
is really cool. Well, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate
definitely.
it.
It was nice meeting you finally.
Yeah, and your parts list. Could I add that to the video? So if people are interested,
Did I send you a parts list, or do you want me to send you one? I can't send you.
You sent me a link.
Okay.
But if you could send it again, and then that way I'll make sure that link is in there so people can, like, if they want to do the same type of build or something similar, it'd be great.
Yeah, BBS HD, man. It really is a great way to go.
That's great, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, there you go, guys. Bye.